Alright, so this is going to be a video about how I created this drone for the NVIDIA challenge. I'll show you here. There was a Vehicles of the Future challenge, NVIDIA Metropia 2042, and I decided to make an ambulance drone for it. So it'd be set 20-ish years in the future, and this was my entry, and I was fortunate enough to get first place. And there's a whole kind of, I guess, blog here that goes through the creation of it, pretty much from the beginning over the course of the 2 months that the competition took place from. But this video will be focused more on the design side, I guess, not so much the like small increments along the way. But yeah, since it is already all here. But yeah, it's the first ArtStation challenge I've taken part in, and it was nice to win it, I can't lie. So yeah, it's been good. So I'm gonna get started with showing you roughly how I'll go about it. I'm gonna start around here. I'm gonna have to pause this and then open up different saves in a different order because I'm running out of RAM when I open up any more than 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 saves, ironically. But yeah, so I'll show you roughly how I went from this kind of block out stage, where I made kind of like thumbnail blueprints, and then how it kind of transitions along the way. So that's save 14, 85, 120, 200, and then finished, pretty much. So I'll go along the way. This was save 350 or 342. But yeah, this was done over the course of the 2 months. So cool. Alright, let's get started. So this is 5 saves in, and these were some of the block out thumbnails I did. I don't normally do thumbnails. Actually, I never do thumbnails. This is the first time I did it, and to be honest, I did it more because it showed experimentation. But if I didn't have to kind of document what I did in the blog, I probably wouldn't have done it. And I don't think I don't know, like, I started with this one actually, so yeah, I guess there was some change along the way, and then it was kind of moving shapes around and seeing what silhouettes I liked. I don't think, yeah, it's just thumbnails, nothing really special to be honest. And then I settled around here at this point. Now, this is because I started the thumbnails on day 1, but I don't think the brief was fully like formed by this point. So I didn't know it was like, oh, it's gonna have to carry someone, or it needs to be sustainable. Like, we didn't know those details yet. So once those details came out, then the shape did change a lot from this. But you could already see I had the idea of it being a police vehicle of some type. So I think that stayed along, and this idea of having mandibles stayed as well. The reason why I actually even came up with that was, oops, sorry, which one is that then? The one before had these kind of mandibles at the front, and I wanted to keep that kind of aesthetic. They are obviously different, like shapes differently. It's not exactly the same, but I did want to keep that along, like with this kind of craft, and I'll probably try and keep it at least with the aircraft within this kind of Strix division kind of group set, I guess. Oh, there you go. Yeah. So I did try and keep those kind of like as a signature piece till the end, and they stayed. So yeah, I'll go to the next one, and you can see. So this was 14 saves in, and if I, oh shit, no. If I check something, oh, I'm in the wrong place. Oh, I forgot. Yeah, so this was 14 saves in. Mandibles stayed, so did the sirens, but the wings changed quite a bit. So the idea here was it was going to be an ambulance, so I was trying to get it into scale with the person. I don't know if I had a bed at this point. No bed. But I knew that, okay, I want to carry someone, pick up someone, drop them off. You can see at the moment, like, the silhouette's really thin, so this person would only barely fit in, like, even if they were sideways. But it was, you know, just progression. I also had this idea of these draped solar panels because I wanted to, you know, just show off the sustainable aspect of it, I guess. But you'll see, like, what happens to these later. But, yeah. So this is the idea that the wings became part of the landing gear, and that gave it an interesting silhouette. These these tiny legs, but yeah, this was just I guess progression. Here would be like a LCD kind of it's bendy OLED display. I'll show more about that later, where the robot's kind of information would be displayed to people if it needed to be displayed to people outside it. And as you can see, it's basically a quadricopter with wings. It's not like anything magical or special. But, so from there to here, there's oh, hang on. Yeah, I gotta load it. This might have lighting. I'm not sure. Yeah, it has lighting. Hang on. Oh, there you go. Yeah. So just hide the lighting. Here you go. So I threw these in from the last ship just to see what kind of do I want 2 mandibles? What would it look like if I did have them? Obviously I didn't use them in the end. I like made new ones from scratch, but it was just like kind of previs, I guess. And you can see here the overall silhouette is much more developed. Kind of like a fat. It's got a fat back here. The thing is it's blocky, and fixing this blocky body took a very long time. This is save 85, so you can kind of get the idea. The last one was hang on. Last one was save 14. So between this part here and here are about 70 saves, which probably about a week maybe. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I'd have to check. But I also started a bed at this point. It may have animation. Yeah, it has animation. So you can see what the idea was. Like it would have like a scanning kind of diagnostics, I guess. But I didn't worry too much about that in the end. Hang on. Oh, V. Alright, cool. So, and I did this stupid bed pattern thing, but totally scrapped it. So yeah, this was, hang on, does this animate? Not yet, okay. But this idea here was that the solar panels would roll around this cylinder and then go inwards. I can kind of show you on this bit, if I bring this up here. I think it's before this. Yeah, so you can see what the idea was there, but the rolling part was there. Yeah. So that was the idea with these. These would go in and then roll up into the front, and then when the ship landed, you'd then deploy the solar panels. So while it's landed and paramedics are doing whatever with the body, you could recharge the ship, but obviously it would kind of recharge it slowly. It's not gonna, replace like bespoke charging from an actual charging port, but it would, extend the battery life somewhat. If you look at the front here, we can see that I've added this, like, behind the glass, I've added almost like a rough infrastructure. So I knew inside here I wanted like a high level of computer work. It was either going to be the main place for the batteries, or it was going to be the main place for the supercomputer. At this point, it's more computer. It looks more like the back of a motherboard. So the idea was that, okay, this is where the computer area is going to be. But I didn't know how I was going to make the computer, or what the computer was going to look like at this point. So you can see I've got this like weird cylinder, and yes, it's a bit weird at this point because I didn't know. But I think overall that's it with this one. This was the battery piece. I've made a whole video about this battery piece, so I'm not going to talk about it much. But this was, in the grand scheme of things, a benchmark piece. It's a piece that kind of push myself on, and then by making it, it forces me to make everything else match that quality level, and it worked. I'd say that method did work. But yeah, this was completely finished. Meanwhile, the ship wasn't. Very weird way of doing it, but it works for me. So, and here would be like extra stabilizer, kind of like I guess what do you call them? Not fins. Oh, there's a name. I can't remember what the name is, but it's kind of like a Eurofighter. A Eurofighter has them on the front, but these kind of like aileron stabilizers would be like at the back, and it was kind of echo this diagonal shape that the wings kind of flow with as well. So yeah, I think that's all for this. This, by the way, was going to be not radar, but like it's going to be a sensor. And then what I did, you'll see later, is I pushed it under here because I started doing research into helicopters, and I can't remember the name of what the system is because it's complex. But there was a helicopter in particular that had one of these below. If I go to the mood board, see, so here you go. Yeah, go away. Okay. So no, let's do it from this one. I had a mood board. This is how the mood board began. So this is kind of like, it was a kind of guidance-ish, not fully guidance. You know, it's an ambulance drone, not a Ducati, but it helps for me. You know, it helps with understanding what kind of forms I would like to have in it. How I want it to be presented at the end. As you can see, any patterns I may want, that could be for the bed, it could be for like a skin on the side of the drone itself, materials, possible materials. The reason why I'm going through this low JPEG is the PureRef, both of my mood boards are corrupted, ironically, and I think that has something to do with them being 500 megabytes. They were gigantic, so maybe that's why. But this is one I saved out by chance earlier, so you can kind of see this was later. It got a lot more busy than this, but this is like the best save I have, and it's kind of JPEG, so it pixelates up close. But the normal PureRef one is full res even up here, and all these images are like, especially these ones, are like 4K-ish. But yeah, so there you go. That's actually what I'm talking about when I say the radar thing. So I switched to that from this helicopter. This helicopter was one of my main references, actually. But yeah, I looked a lot at helicopters over the time that I was working on this, from like tiny details, fins and so on, colors, tags, as you'll see at the front of the camera on the helicopter. Apache is where I took the, I don't know if I have, let's have a look, camera sensor, yeah. So this is where I took the front camera part from. Kind of old Apache, but the idea was like, oh, okay, you've taken off the Apache and you've kind of reworked it for ambulances. And instead of, you know, seeking out enemies to kill, you're, you know, seeking out people who are in danger, or, you know, you can see people in low light conditions or even the worst conditions, basically. That was the idea behind it. So yeah, that was overall, I think, Star Citizen ref here, but I didn't actually use it because it was too far from what I needed for this kind of period, I guess. And then a lot of computer stuff, and this helped a lot with the battery, and it helped a lot with the interior of the supercomputer area as well. And this is the battery ref, as you'll see in the other battery video. I go over that. I like some renders, but yeah, I think overall that's it. And final quality, which is like, to me, it's a mental blueprint of where I want to be aiming for, kind of thing. When I finish the render, it's not going to look like it. I don't want to copy their work, but it's kind of like, oh, it needs this kind of level of execution. I guess that's the best way of putting it. This is Cyberpunk. They had like an ambulance thing in there, but I totally went in a different direction, so it doesn't really matter. But yeah, so let me just see something. Yeah, this is save 85. Save 120. Now, yeah, this is a jump of 40 saves. The reason why I'm doing this is because not a lot of things change sometimes. Like, sometimes a lot of changes will happen in a day, and other times it will take me a week to just fix a simple issue. I'm not sure totally. Okay, so what happened at this point is I put the batteries in. If I didn't turn the lighting on, hang on. Let me turn the lighting off here because it gets really heavy. Yep. Alright. Alright. Boom. Yeah. So, this was now the interior kind of done. I say kind of done. The interior battery area kind of done at least. And you can see, I went for this kind of like, it's green, kind of representing good at this point. I do change it to blue anyway. But it's kind of sinister looking as well. It looks almost like a bug, hence the mandible bits as well. And by the way, yeah, I never pointed this out, but it is supposed to be like a butterfly. It's very butterfly-ish. It's got kind of the circle, kind of the patterns that some butterflies have, and then the large wings at the front, smaller wings at the back, or in a butterfly's cases, large wings. No, it is large wings at the front, I think, as well. Hang on. Yeah, it looks like butterfly, ref. Jesus. Yeah. So it's imitating that, not exactly that, because I did not want a big wing at the back. That doesn't really help when it comes to directionality, but you can get the idea. That was a strong kind of idea from the beginning, and I did that as well. I echoed that with this hang on. Sorry, it's lagging a lot. This kind of butterfly defibrillator idea as well, but I never went through with this in the end because the mechanism to get this to work, like to make sense, would have been too complex in the time I had. I may try another go at it. I don't know. I'll see. But also, I think I had the bed. Yeah. So I had, if you just see here, I had a bed mechanism. Kind of. Oh, you're slow, aren't you? Jesus. But I had a bed mechanism kind of set up for it. I didn't use this in the end, and that's because I got grilled at work by one of my coworkers about putting someone who's, you know, possibly dying diagonally on a bed and what that could do to their body. So I made it flat, and I guess it's less, it doesn't move as much, but it's more practical, and it wouldn't kill them by accident. So, Jesus, this is really slow animation. Oh, it's because of the lights. Okay. But yeah, it's cool to show the development anyway. I was gonna have an idea that the battery was gonna be in the side, kind of powering it, but I scrapped that and put it underneath the bed in the end. So I'll show that later. But yeah, you can kind of see where it was going. This, for example, I'm not sure if I have it in here. Actually, it should be somewhere. Oh, there's too many helicopters. There's a helicopter. Ah, there you go. Yeah, so that came from this Airbus. Sorry for the pixelation. Thanks, Pura, for corrupting. But you can see there, I kind of took this shape and applied it here. I don't think I kept it in the end, but that's like an example of like when I will just kind of paste something in just to see how it looks. So I didn't design that. That's not like my design at that point. This was like a kind of solar panel roof idea, and the idea was like whichever direction the sun is facing, the panels would rotate on their own kind of axes. There'd be like a central point that it rotates in the direction of the sun to maximize the efficiency of conversion. But I did scrap that in the end because it's too noisy. It itself is noise. It's just a bunch of squares, which is kind of like greebly. I like the effect of it though. I still do, ironically. But I didn't do that in the end. So at this point, I knew I wanted to have some of this kind of interface design in there. I didn't know exactly where it was going to go. As you can see right now, it's all the way down here. That definitely changed a lot. But yeah, at this point, it's just more experimentation. This is not texture at all. It's just to help me understand what textures would probably go where, without actually having to texture it, of course. But yeah, you can see here the idea was like cameras and like a kind of major camera there. These are taken from the last ship, so these were just placeholder. I made the new cameras from scratch, but it just helps me understand like, you know, what I'm aiming for. And you can, you know, actually, yeah, the silhouette's quite nice. Ooh. Yeah, so at this point it was mostly silhouette work actually, and the ship kind of kept this to the end. But yeah, it's pretty good actually. So let's save 120.
I'm trying to wonder if there's anything else I should talk about, but I'm not really sure. No, it's alright. So 200. Yeah, let's go to 200. Alright.
Oh. Okay, cool. Oh, jeez, what the hell? Okay. So, what you can see with 200 is I fleshed out the legs. Sorry, hang on, let me just pull this along. This is annoying. Yeah. So I fleshed out the legs because at the moment, for a long time, they were this kind of like a claw. They're kind of like a claw-like, but I didn't explain how they would work or how they would function. And so that's where this came in. And this mechanism, by the way, because a lot of people ask, like, where's your design language from? 99% of this is my design, but where things get mechanical, I don't want to try and rely on my design language for it, because it's probably not going to be realistic enough. So this is actually taken from, hang on, I think I should have it in the video. Let's close this. Go. Oh, did I make the video? I don't think I made the video. Alright, hang on. So it came from this guy who does prosthetics called Hugh. There he is. Yeah, I've already. But I'm trying to think about what video it is. I think it's this one. Let's have a look.
Actuators on basically a bunch of nuts.
Yes, it's this one. So he has these like prosthetic legs which are badass as fuck, and there you go. So he made this for his friend, and when I saw this, I was like, okay, we could make like, you know, an expanded version of that for the foot of the drone. And so I did copy this pretty much one-to-one. Obviously proportions are quite different, but that was like, it's better that I take it from there than I try and reinvent the wheel. As well, this is a very complex wheel, but and then I kind of attached it to my own kind of attachment point. So the idea was that, I don't know if there's animation on this, but we'll find out. Yeah. So it would like sit underneath. I did move it, so in the final the foot is back here, so that it's not underneath the fans. But it would go down and then kind of adapt to whatever surface was on there, and that adaptation would of course be computed by the computed by the computer down here. So it'd kind of survey the area, understand where exactly the floor is flat, and then try and land there. That's the idea with that. But yeah, so there was some detailed legwork here, and then I'll go much more into detail into like individual pieces on the final part. But yeah, this was more like, I guess, detail into the mandibles. So the idea with these is that UK helicopters have this thing called a sky shout, and it's like a 700 watt speaker that they have under the helicopter, and when they need to speak to anyone, I think it's mostly used for police ones, but it might be used for ambulance ones, I'm not sure. When they need to speak to people on the ground, it's a speaker, it just shouts at them pretty much from the sky. So this would have two mandibles, and they would both count as lights and a sky shout. You can't see the mesh for the speakers yet because I hadn't gotten that far, but you'll see that in the next part. So that's what like these were actually used for. And here is the kind of adaptation of the Apache camera. It's similar but not really the same. So if you can see, that's flipped. Yeah, you can see what I did there though. Hang on, let me just pull this across. So it's like an adaptation of it, but I did change bits because I didn't want to copy it one-to-one anyway. But yeah, so here as well is where the headlights were formed. If I just hide this, and these headlights were inspired by BMW's laser lights. It's like a £4,000 option you can get on high-end BMWs, and it literally works this way. It's like 3 lasers. Oh, sorry, hang on. Yeah, I've got a lot to hide. 3 lasers point to these like 3 reflectors, which then reflect back to this big lens, and then it's like it broadens a beam. And the advantage is that you're only using the amount of power to power the lasers, so it's less power than powering like a huge light bulb, but also the light goes a lot further. It's just like the best of both worlds, I guess. So I thought, yep, why not just adapt that and then size it up for a drone instead. So here as well, you can see the wraparound glass. And this is where the display would be kind of projected through, just using like I'd say current gen but not publicly available OLED technology. So if I'm not sure exactly where I actually put that. Yeah, so you can see legwork. I'm not sure, but what I'll do is you can get the idea. Curved, no, curved, no, but it's transparent as well, so it's, yeah. Video, oh my god, transparent OLED. Yeah, one of these will do. Go. Why are you flickering so much? Oh my god. Yeah, so something like this, but curved, just curved glass. And that's the idea, that you can see through it, but it's also displaying the screen. So that was the idea behind this. This was placement for a camera. I didn't know what cameras I was going to put on there, but as you can see, I was going in the direction of the Kinect, almost, Xbox Kinect. But I scrapped it and I just kept it this shape in the end. So yeah, I think... Yeah, so this body was one of the hardest parts of the entire drone. Escaping this cube-looking shape, and also how to deal with the back, was a really big struggle, and that's why I skipped so many saves, because 120 to 200 is just fixing this back, and this back's not even, it's not complex model-wise, but it's the design aspect of it, which was very hard to get to. But I got to there eventually, as you can see. But I wanted something sleek-ish, but still, still to look kind of like, oh, okay, it does carry things, it still has some weight to it. At this point, it's more sleek, but towards the end, it did get thicker again, so. And you can see here as well, so the bed was done in Marvelous Designer. I'm a Marvelous Designer noob, but I tried. So, sorry. Yeah. I'm wondering if I have any... No, I don't. Alright, yeah. But yeah, Better was on the Marvelous Designer. I have more Marvelous, but I'll show that in the next one. I was just wondering if I had anything to show now, but I don't. It's alright. This idea here was about having stairs that would pop up, but it's not animated. So these would kind of rotate, and that would be for the paramedic to get on board. I can show you that over here as well. Yeah, let's go down. Yeah, so there you go. That was the mechanism that I couldn't get to work properly, because the problem with it, the limitation with this was that the drone would have to land on someone's chest. That could be any size. They could be a big person, they could be female, male, and it would have to find exactly the right place to place the patches. And the mechanism that you would need for that would be quite complex. So that's the reason why that didn't go to the end. But if I just scroll up past the batteries, yeah, so I think here it should be here. You can see there that the steps come out and they do this rotation thing. So it'd be like out, rotate, person walks up, and then it can stay rotated as it goes up, or it can slide back in, as you see here in the GIF. But yeah, so that was the idea with that. This, by the way, was a test kind of CPU render. I never did anything with that, but it was exploration, so pretty cool nevertheless. And let's go back. So yeah, with this, the idea was that it has these intakes over here, and these ones are for the computer. So here, there's also intakes. If you just see that, it would go through the front. Then these intakes here are for the actual battery ports. Same for this as well. And the batteries would be mounted across the top. So yeah, that was the idea of this. And what I'll do is I will pause this and then get back, because I've got quite a lot of saves in between this.
All right, yeah. God damn. So I tried to kind of open them so I can get through them and show you the development, but it's really hard. Give you an idea. I have 32 gigabytes of RAM and I'm at 92% memory with just 2 Mayas open, with the final one and 150 saves before it. So it's very hard for me. Well, my computer just crashed actually. Yeah, but I'm on the edge. So it's hard to actually show the progression smoothly because I can't open more than 2, pretty much. But I'll go more in depth on the final one and go around like design language and how I kind of come together with it. But I wanted to show this one because topology wise it's not complete. Hang on, yeah, you can see this. So this kind of shows you no, I'm gonna leave it. I'll leave it. What kind, like how I kind of mash shapes together. So let's just take this for instance, because this is quite an interesting bit. So here you can see there's like this kind of wing shape here, and I want it to transition into this shape, and then that will go into this shape, and that's the way of connecting the wings to the main body. So what I would do is I make each shape as individual, and then I intersect them, and you can see in the final. Let's just select this. Yeah, so how I kind of melded them together. So I would then cut them out. You can see the. Oh. Yeah. So you can see how they all fit together. But when they began, they were obviously their own separate pieces. And the way I do this is not like, it's nothing complex. I literally draw around it like this. And then you go all the way down, like let's just say here, for example, it doesn't really matter. And then you, like I showed this in the battery video, so you'll see what I mean. But you just split it, bevel it, and delete the edge. And so I'll delete the edge and everything below it, i.e. all of this would then go. And so it will just be its own upper top bit, and then you extrude in, and that will then allow you to, you can see I've deleted that area so that it all fits together. But yeah, that's for example how I would merge, you know, multiple kind of shapes together, and that's what I did in this aspect area here. If I go back, what else is on here? The only issue is it takes a very long time to do that stuff, and that's why not everything was perfectly molded into everything else. But let me turn this off, slowing everything down. So this was the leg area. I don't think anything changed around these bits. This is the upper, like I guess the upper area above the main central computer system. Idea being that the camera here goes directly down and the camera here goes up as well. So this is where it kind of sees, you know, everything from. And then it works together with these cameras over here, there, and it's got one on the back here and one up there, to see behind it, of course, and to the sides. The issue with the wings is that depending on where they are, yep, mine's being stupid, the cameras would be blocked or not blocked. So it was important to make sure that the cameras could see, you know, from both spots. And also, the wings did affect my rendering as well, because if I just turn this off and turn the light on. Hello? Oh, Jesus. Shadows. Yeah. The wings cast a huge shadow, and that's something I did not account for when like in my viewport it looks a certain way, and it looks good in my viewport, but when I threw into Keyshot, the wings were like one of the biggest obstructions. So I'll talk about that later when I open Keyshot. But yeah, I think at this part as well, I had created this staircase area, so you can see this here. Now with these, it happens to look like a spine. I did not
intend for it to look like a spine. I intended for there to be detail in the middle and rest on the sides, and I guess that's a spine. But I did like the way it came out in the end, and it does, you know, considering a spine supports your back and your body, the idea of a patient who's sick going up a spine, which is kind of a symbol of support to, you know, safety, I guess. It's kind of symbolic, but that was accidental, so I'm not going to take credit for that, but probably subconscious anyway. So here's the Marvelous I was trying to find earlier. This was also some more, and this is the idea of this is just like, it's cabling, it is cabling. That's what I threw into Marvelous. And then it's kind of like protective cabling that goes down with it and provides power. So as the chair goes back up, it was kind of, I guess, like softly kind of bump against this ramp, but it wouldn't get caught or anything because it's kind of got cable management, I guess. You can see here the mechanism wasn't totally developed, but it was in the process. And yeah, this was also more Marvelous, which was, I don't know, it was nice to go a bit out of my comfort zone, even despite the time limit I had. But yeah, and then this is just the rest of the bed really, which gets more developed towards the end. I did a lot of detail. If you look at this, for example, and you can, hang on, what is this? Go away. You can see like the level of detail on just this bit. It's tiny, but I got carried away and I got quicker as well. This piece didn't take forever. It took a relatively long time, but I was getting quicker at making detailed pieces. But in the end, it did, you know, it added to it, so I think that was great. This is me lazy kit bashing from the front piece because I was running out of time. So obviously I created this front piece uniquely, but then I was like, okay, you know, it is such a complex shape. I will show you this shape. Sorry, my cough is killing me. All right, so this is the, oh no, keep everything. What are you doing? Yeah. And take this off. Yeah, there's too many pieces to hide. It is work just selecting a piece and piece. A piece and piece. Nice one. Alright. So, hide. Yeah, this is like the connecting piece for, this is what I was talking about, the Sky Shout. So this is kind of the audio area where it would come out. This is the main like mechanism that would be inside there, and then the lights. And then I'm going to talk about the design language and how I reached this in the next bit. But for now, I'm just kind of doing the overview. So this area, this piece here, though, was a push again. So this was kind of a benchmark, but not... Like, I knew I could do it, but I did try quite hard on this one. So with this, the hard bit was the transition. You can see here, like there's a smooth transition in there. That wasn't too hard. This bit, though, here is a bevel. If I follow it around, you can see it goes round, and then it goes and it terminates here. And that is like a bevel on a bevel. I had not done that before, so I gave it a try. I did it again over there, and then reached some limitations. But yeah, and even this like kind of diagonal transition into the flat surface, I liked that as well. So topology wise, you can have a look. Let me display standard edges. Alright, yeah. So you can see how I kind of, this was booleaned in, of course, in much earlier stages when there was no topology at all. And what I like about this shape is that it kind of flows. So this shape here and this bit, you can kind of see they kind of meet. Yeah, it's a nice shape, I guess. I don't know what else to say about it, but yeah, so that was going to be the structural support, and the idea was that it was the contrast of like a hard kind of milled shape versus the soft kind of carbon fiber, like soft wings almost attached to this point. But yeah, these are the supports. So I wanted to make sure that if I just remove these two people, go away. This font would have that kind of appearance, and that's why if I go to current work, just trying to find the video. Oh, there's too many pieces for me to possibly know where I would have put this. Pre-final test body. So just undo. Oh, video. Yeah, I found it. Bed correct. Bed. Drone turn. You. Oh, this one. Yeah, this. That was definitely. Are you on repeat? Yeah, cool. Oh no, you're not. Oh, yeah. So this was I don't know. I just had the vision. Like this is the kind of vision I had in mind, and so I built the font to kind of match this kind of quality level. And you can see, like at this point, the rest of the drone is not built. It was just kind of like the font is one of the focal points. So I just wanted to make sure that that had like the look that I was going for. So I did put a lot of work into the font, but it came out well, and I was very happy with it. This font area, I don't know if I don't have the old save because it crashed, but this took a lot of development. But I did like that it's kind of automotive, but it still like keeps with the body. And it comes to places like here. So yeah, I'll talk about this actually. From a physics point of view, I wanted to make sure that this would balance. So, sorry. If I select the four wings and then select center pivot, you can kind of. That's a good way of gauging where the. Oh, sorry. You have to group them. You have to center pivot. You can gauge where the center of gravity would be between the four wings, and that would be roughly here. Now, the ship is front heavy due to the computers and the batteries being mostly at the front. So that center of gravity actually moves to about here once I select the batteries. And that's why there is right in between the wing, the bottom of the wing, like the hinge and the leg. So the idea is that all of the weight would be pushing right there, meaning that this could actually balance realistically. That's the idea. That's with the bed inside. With the bed outside, it would be pushed a bit further back, but it would be okay because it would be on the edge of this wing. So that's one kind of thing I did think about quite a lot. The second is the cooling, because when it comes to electric things, whether it be Teslas or any of them, the biggest problem is normally cooling batteries. So the batteries are top mounted near the solar panels, but obviously the solar panels are on top of them. So you need a lot of cooling for that. And the idea was that the main air would come through the front here and cool batteries. On the side, you can't see there because I hadn't done it at this point, but I'll show you on the newer one. There's this intake here, and that is for the compartment where the passenger is. So that would be air straight for the passenger. This is for the batteries. The air going through this point and this bottom bit here is for the actual computer here. So there's three like separate dedicated kind of air intakes, and then there's the air exhaust here for the hot air from the batteries. This shape here is called an F duct, and it's used mostly in it's used in NASCAR, and it's also used on planes, Formula 1 cars sometimes, and production cars as well, most notably the Porsche GT2 RS, because I'm a car nerd, so yeah. On the bonnet, can I put F ducts? Will that come up? Yeah, it came up anyway. Yeah, so those at the front are F ducts, and the idea with it is that it's a shape that reduces the amount of drag while being an intake. So if you look at, for example, Aventador, vent. Alright, so all these vents on a Lamborghini Aventador will create a lot of drag, especially that one. You can just see like that's going to cause its own issues. So that will break the air up a lot. The idea with one of these is that the airflow is actually very smooth over it, but it also acts as a good intake. So that's what I used for example, this bit at the front. Now, upon research, I found out that NASCAR drivers found that if you reverse the air duct, it works well as an exhaust because the pressure change is inverted. So what I did is I took the idea of the F duct and I flipped it around, kind of like the NASCAR. I don't know if I'm going to be able to find the NASCAR F duct. I said NASCAR and you put F1 car. Okay. Hang on. It's inverted. Let's try inverted. Alright, I'm not going to find it because it's in video. But yeah, the idea was that the pressure would suck air out. So that's why I used one inverted at the back and one forward facing, well, two forward facing at the front. But yeah, that was the idea behind sorry, that thing. Look at the propellers. No, they're not yet. Let's. Oh, they were done at this point anyway. So with this, I took these pretty much one-to-one from a real helicopter propeller, I think. Oh, I forgot that the whole computer crashed, so this isn't loaded. Jeez, man. Alright, let's load recent. Oh, I didn't save it. Oh, God. Thank you. So if we go to ref, by the way, this is, wait, hang on, yeah, let's check that ref folder. So 4 gig, it's not too big. Loads of images, loads of folders for each individual bit. What I'm looking for right now is the rotors though, so I'm just gonna drag the finished image work, because there are way too many images. And yeah, so I did a lot of reference picking when it came to propellers or rotors to find the right ref, as you can see here. And I took it from, I think, this helicopter here actually. You can't see it because it's being crushed, but yeah, it was a one-to-one pretty much copy to ensure that this would function. And then I still wanted the turbine aesthetic because I found that just propellers is too thin looking. Hard to explain or show here, but if I just hide this and then just hide these, yeah, there you go. Yeah, so you can see that propellers alone, it doesn't look very good. The floor, go away. There you go. And just hide this. No. Oh, I see what I did. Oh, my day. Hide. Yeah, it's too thin looking, and there would be these huge gaps in between the propellers, and it just doesn't look very aesthetic. So I went with a kind of turbine look, and then the propellers are kind of on top and below as well, and then this kind of fan duct which would increase lift efficiency basically. So that was another kind of physics approach to it, I guess. But yeah, and it's just propellers front, back. So let me just go to this bit. I think that it appears, oh, this isn't one piece. Okay, it's easier to hide on here, but the idea is it's just a quadricopter with wings, bro. But I think when you see the wings on it, plus it looks a lot more futuristic than it is. But wings, they've already been done. Quadricopter, it's already been done. Put them together, done, kind of thing. And that was the idea behind the whole drone, I guess. And the good thing about it is that it did have the butterfly aspect to it. So it forms, one kind of symbolic meaning, but it also, made sense in the form of technology as well. I don't think there's that much more to show on this particular bit. No, I'll close this. And I can go into detail part for part on the final thing. The thing is, like, on the way to the final point, I don't know, I feel like there wasn't that much amazing things going on. I think it's when it comes together, that's where everything kind of, you know, comes together, I guess. But up to this point, there wasn't anything special that I haven't already shown in previous videos with my other ships, so I don't want to focus on it too much. But this is the final model before I subdivided it. So hang on, let's show lights. Yeah, it's like a weird bug. You have to, it's just weird. But anyway, so this is the complete model. If I just take everything off so you can see, and yeah, wireframe. Yeah, so at this point, nothing is smooth. This is the subdivision I modeled everything like at, which is why it took so long. But yeah, we can just go around, and then I'll go into some of the design language choices and reasons, I guess. So, dying. And yeah, the bed as well. Yeah, I'll go into all of this. Alright, so I will start at the front. Yeah, I'll start at the front with this actually. Turn off the light. Oh, okay, fine. Take the whole front. Jesus, man, you are so fussy. Just deselecting. Alright, so with this, I knew that I wanted speaker and the lights. Oh shit, I took off the textures. The lights are there, by the way. Speaker and lights. But choosing how to break the shape into pieces was actually quite interesting. So this is unsmooth at the moment, I think. Yeah, it's unsmooth at the moment. But the idea here was that I wanted it to be mainly rest area for the whole kind of area. So you can see this part here is more complex than this part. This part is actually pretty simple, relatively simple. But within the shape itself, you then want it to do that again. So it's like this part here is quite complex. This would be, I guess, the 30 detail to this part's 70% rest. And then this part is pretty complex as well. I'd say that the detail to rest area is quite spread, and that's because of the function. The function came kind of first versus design. Arguably, if this was just kind of a design thing, you'd push this detail area around here, so you'd have a detail clump here, and then all of this would be simple. But it doesn't make sense for the actual need that this needed. You know, I need the light to come from the front, I want the sound to come from the back. So suddenly it was like, all right, I need 2 areas of detail. But in between, I did want to keep something kind of similar, kind of simple as well. And I guess it's hard to get a balance where even the simple areas are detailed enough not to look boring or lazy, but they can still act as, you know, a rest area. So with this, it was like it was kind of like small details, kind of surface details here. This is like a ridge, a kind of bump, implying that there's something that's extruded on the other side. That's the idea. And I placed it right near the panel, so you can understand that, oh, okay, if you needed to repair whatever was underneath here, you'd pull from this bit and you'd pull it off. And underneath there was likely to be a circular shape kind of mechanism that you know, it was that's the reason why it was raised on the top, you know. So it's kind of implying function through the external appearance, I guess. So yeah, it was an interesting challenge. With this bit here, it was kind of like I wanted the middle piece that connects the front and back. But the middle piece as well, I wanted that to have some, you know, interesting points, so you do not see these in the renders. But yeah, like there is actual modeling going on here, which kind of breaks up, it breaks up the whole piece, because I didn't want it to be this piece and this piece all one, both for speed wise and just for interest in general. But yeah, if I smooth this, Smoothing. Oh, it's smooth now. Yep, these are the laser lights again, from the front, but just like miniature ones, I guess. Is that corruption? Yes, as you can see, here's some Maya corruption, because that's what Maya does best. It's like, it's just dumb. Like, why? Anyway, don't ask. You get an insight into what working in Maya for this project would have been like, with things just corrupting all over the place or crashing. This was hell, actually, because I've not talked about that, but this model is display. No, it's display. Heads up display polygon. So if I just select, I don't really want to do that. I don't want to do that. It might crash. But you can see here, faces, that is 12 million. So this is 12 million polys, unsmoothed. Oh, okay, yeah. So I hadn't even smoothed it yet. Smoothed, it reached 30 million. And it just became hell at that point. To export it with, to smooth it took, I think, an hour. I had to smooth each bit one by one. And then to export it took like 5 minutes. Then to import it to Keyshot takes another 10 to 15 minutes. So working on this was pushing my laptop to its absolute max. And yeah, it's nice I came first because I need that desktop. Jesus. But yeah, so modeling this, it does take a toll eventually, because it's quite dense. And as you probably seen, I can only have this in the scene. You know, I can't like open multiple things. This is 10 gigabytes of RAM alone. Now, in the future world, I would reference pieces, but for this, I didn't do that. So I'll do that next time. But yeah, on this episode of Details You'll Never See. So one was the camera lens. If I go to yeah, sorry. This cough is gonna get me good. And where are you? Wait, work, Google. Oh my god. Okay, yeah. Yeah, that's a close up. So you can see what I did with the camera lens there. Didn't take very long. It was just a nice detail that I thought would be really cool, especially like to zoom out from it. And that's the same goes for all of these. These little pieces here are actual they're stretched out versions of the laser lights, and they act as the main lights there. But there's also other parts, like here when the wings spin. So if I just pull this out, this was like a quick. This isn't actually subdividable. This is like a quick mid-poly kind of model, so it holds without smoothing, that I made for the insides of the wings, just in case, so that when the wings, sorry, hang on, when the wings, oh, what did you do? What are you doing? So weird. Okay, anyway, when the wings like animate, there's a moment where you can see the inside of the wing, and I didn't want that to be empty, so that's what that bit's for there. Similar one happened here as well. Hide? Yeah, so it's got like an interior part of the wing there as well, and I don't know if I did it on this bit there, but like even though the wingtips, they always needed these kind of edges, so those are like parts that, you know, you don't really see much from the renders, and these were always seen from really far out, but there were, you know, I think that's the same for this bit as well. There's like, yeah, on this piece, there's actually quite a nice shape here. Now the reason why this happens is because I'm not good at knowing where to play it. Like I place detail in certain places, but I need to kind of zoom out and see where that detail will be beforehand. It's something I'm working on. So yeah, you never see that in a render because you're always seeing from like here, and even if you saw it from there, you know, it's too small to be that noticeable. So that's something I'm constantly working on now. And this was the mechanism in the end. If I just smooth this,